Maggie. Oh, yay. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about teeth. But first, as always, I want to say thank you. Backyard Naturalist is not possible without viewers like you. And if you're not already a Backyard Naturalist subscriber, you can become one. And our season 5 annual subscription will be available soon, starting for our season starting September 1st. And your subscription includes our weekly lectures, a monthly field trip with none other than Tim Vargo, and a subscriber appreciation party. But back to the interesting subject matter. Teeth are hard calcified structures that are found in the jaw or mouth of many vertebrates, and they're used to break down food. The general structure of teeth is similar across all vertebrates, but there's a lot of variation in form, position, number, etc. And so we'll talk about that today. Animal teeth are considered to be either, animals with teeth are considered to be either monophyodonts, diphyodonts, or polyphyodonts. Monophyodonts only have one set of teeth. They're born with this set of teeth. They never lose them. They're not replaced. Whereas diphyodonts, like humans, have a set of baby teeth and then a set of adult teeth that grow in to replace them. And many mammals are diphyodonts. Polyphyodonts will continuously lose and replace teeth, like alligators and sharks or crocodiles. Most mammals, like I said, are diphyodonts, except for elephants, kangaroos, and manatees, which are polyphyodonts. Further, animals with teeth can be considered either homodonts or heterodonts. So either they have a set of teeth where all the teeth are the same, homophyodonts, like our dolphin over here, or they show some kind of variation, they're heterophyodonts. And most mammals are heterodonts, with the exception of our toothed whales. In mammal heterodonts, we primarily see 4 teeth types. We have our incisors our front teeth, our canines, which are just the pointy tooth, and then we have cheek teeth, which include premolars and molars. Teeth are super important to mammalogists, and they tell us a lot about what animals eat, and they even allow us to identify them. So using the shape, size, and number of teeth can allow us to identify mammals, at least to a higher classification. And then using clues from the structure of their skulls allows us to identify them to species. So we use what's called a dental formula, which tells us essentially how many incisors, canines, premolars, and molars they have on the top and the bottom. And so an animal like a squirrel have one incisor. The dental formula is just for one side of the mouth. So in total, 2 incisors on top, but 1 on, say, the right side. They don't have any canines. They have 2 premolars and 3 molars. And this is a gray squirrel. Squirrels are really interesting because I think their teeth look probably most similar to humans. They're excluding their incisors. Their molars look most similar. They have the same sort of cusp shape that human teeth do, and they're rooted in the same way compared to some of our other animals, like cottontail rabbit. Cottontail rabbits have more of these oval-shaped teeth, and they have a different number of cheek teeth than most of our rodents. We have animals like meadow voles that have these zigzaggy molars, or animals like rats that have these like tricuspid type molars that are grooved, or muskrats that kind of have a mix of like that zigzaggy pattern and the grooved pattern. And then you have groundhogs, which kind of look like squirrel teeth, but different numbers. Then you get into our carnivores like bobcats. They they tend to have a shorter snout, so that means fewer teeth. They only have two molars, one premolar, or two premolars and one molar, and they're very sharp and pointy. Raccoons are also, their molars and premolars are also sharp and pointy. Their molars are kind of flat in the back, and we'll talk about why that is. Opossums are kind of the same way. And super interesting fact about possums is they have the most teeth of any mammal in North America. They have 50 teeth in total in their mouth. You can see that's kind of a lot of teeth. I mean, just 10 incisors on the top is a lot of teeth. But we'll get into how we can tell based on teeth what an animal eats. But before we do that, I wanted to show this, which is a sea otter skull. Sea otters, one of sea otters' favorite meals are sea urchins. So one of the giveaways that it's a sea otter skull is their teeth get stained this purple color because of the purple sea urchins that they eat. But getting into specific teeth types, we'll start with incisors. These are front teeth, and these work to bring food into the mouth and cut it. We're familiar with typical square or kind of rounded shaped incisors, but there are a lot of modifications across mammals. For example, deer, they do have these bottom incisors that are more square, but they don't have upper incisors, as you can see in this picture. Rather, they have a fleshy plate, and this acts as kind of like a cutting board. So they can use their bottom teeth to cut against a hard surface to break off plant matter. So, like I said, there's a lot of different modifications of incisors. One that's probably most familiar are with rodent incisors. Rodents have two upper and two lower incisors that grow and wear away continuously, and they are chisel shaped and work together like scissors to bite and tear things. But they have to continuously gnaw on various materials to kind of wear them down, otherwise they'll become overgrown. Other mammals that have modified incisors include pikas, rabbits, hyraxes, some primates like the ii. They all have chisel-shaped incisors, some with a gap between them. And then we have our vampire bat that have scalpel-shaped incisors for sucking blood. Another group that have kind of different incisors are shrews. All their teeth are very, very sharp because they primarily eat insects. So those front teeth are kind of scalpel shaped like the vampire bat to grip prey and bring it in. Elephant incisors are actually their tusks. So elephants don't have incisors inside their mouth. Rather, they're these long tusks that grow outside. And then you have hippos who have incisors on the bottom that again are this flattened surface that can act sort of as a cutting board. And then we get into canines. Canines cut and tear food, and they're pretty standard across mammals. They're long, sharp fang-like teeth that you would typically think of, like this, like most big cats. Carnivores and omnivores typically have those four sharp fang-like teeth on two on the top and two on the bottom that are used for ripping and tearing meat, as well as capturing and subduing prey. But there is some modification. Most ungulates do have canines. Some are more obvious than others. In ungulates like hippos and pigs, they're obviously very prominent. But in groups like deer, they're very, very reduced and almost look like incisors. And in horses, only males will develop canine teeth, and they're not nearly as long or as pointy as some of our other groups. Some deer, like water deer and musk deer, develop long canines, long top canines. And these are mainly found in males, and they're primarily used for aggressive encounters with other males. But they're very loosely rooted in the jaw, so they can draw these back when eating. Other mammals with tusked canines, including walruses, which are present in both males and females, where males have slightly longer and thicker tusks than females, and they're used for fighting and dominance and display. So much less the tearing and cutting of meat, like some of our other more typical canines. And then there's the narwhal. The narwhal's tusks is actually an elongated canine. It's their left upper canine. Males usually only will grow a tusk, and it will grow out the left side through their upper lip and form a left helical spiral. And very rarely, about 1 in 500 males will grow both their left and right canine as tusks, and you'll get this rare double tusk narwhal. And then occasionally females will also grow one tusk. And then finally, there's our cheek teeth. So we have premolars and molars. These teeth do the chewing and grinding work, as well as mixing. And they vary a lot. Cheek teeth are really where we can see what an animal's dietary preference is. Carnivores, especially cats, including big cats, have very sharp teeth for chewing and slicing meat. You can see how sharp. Oh no, that was a lot. I don't know what happened there. Cool. If you have a cat and you've been chewed on by a cat, you know how sharp these are. Herbivores have very flat cheek teeth that are often grooved to increase the surface area that they have available for grinding plant matter. And then omnivores have kind of a mixed version of cheek teeth. Some are flat for grinding, but also some or all are sharp enough to also rip and tear meat. So that includes things like black bears and humans. Some animals have very interesting cheek teeth, particularly some of seals. Our crab eater seals, which are this seal, as well as leopard seals, have these funky cheek teeth that they use for sieving krill, but they're also primarily carnivores, so they also have very sharp front teeth for catching things like penguins. And those are our heterodonts, at least when it comes to mammals. There's only one group of mammal homodonts, and those are our toothed whales. They all have the same set of teeth throughout their entire mouth. Some mammals have seen some extreme modifications. Things like anteaters and pangolins have lost teeth, evolved to no longer develop teeth, and instead just have a very long snout and a tongue that they use to eat soft body insects. And this actually evolved independently 2 times. Pangolins and anteaters aren't very closely related. And then there's our baleen whales. They have developed this tubular, stiff, bristle-like material inside their mouth rather than teeth that act as a filter feeding system. So they can take water into their mouth like all these whales are doing here. And then when they close their mouth, they can push the water back out through the baleen, which filters out krill and other small organisms. But when you have normal teeth, teeth are really useful, particularly in monophyodonts and diphyodonts, for aging an animal. Based on the absence, the emergence, and the wear of certain teeth, we can fairly reliably assign age to many mammals. So this, for example, is a coyote. So based on the wear of their incisors and their canines, as well as some of the wear, but more so the emergence of their cheek teeth, assign them an age class. And the same thing is done with deer. Most departments of natural resources ask hunters to age their deer so they can keep track of how that population is doing. So this is essentially how you age a deer, based on what teeth they have or don't have and the amount of wear on those teeth. But moving away from mammals, fish also have a variety of teeth that correspond to their diet. As you can see, these are the 4 typical types. They typically don't have a mix of teeth like some mammals do. It's more like all canines, all molars, all incisors. But fish are really interesting because they can have pharyngeal teeth. Some fish don't have that, but essentially the pharyngeal jaw is a second set of jaws that are distinct from the oral jaw and are contained in the throat of many bony fish. Most are not mobile and are used more for prey processing. So they'll take in prey through their oral jaw and then it gets processed through their pharyngeal jaw. But you get interesting cases like the moray eel, which have this flexible and movable pharyngeal jaw that extends forward to grip and retract prey. So these are some examples of fish teeth. We have ones with canines. Parrotfish are actually incisor type teeth that are fused together to form a beak. Same with pufferfish. Some creepy teeth are sheep's head fish, which look scarily like human fish, or not human, human teeth. I don't like it. But even animals like the whale shark, which you wouldn't really think of as having teeth, have tiny little teeth, much like the other sharks that they're related to. Most amphibians have teeth as well, but only on their upper jaw. And these are very tiny and flexible, so they're not our typical teeth. Typically when I don't know if an amphibian has ever bit anyone, but it's not very painful. They're very tiny and flexible and are really only used to hold on to prey rather than to like chew or grind or tear it. They typically swallow their prey whole. And then we get into reptiles. Reptiles have 3 types of teeth. Pretty much all of them are homodonts, but we can classify different groups into these different teeth types. So Acrodont teeth are weak and are barely just attached to the jaw. They aren't fused to the jawbone at all. And they're common in lizards like chameleons and bearded dragons. They're pointy to help chew, but again, they're very weak and they are not replaced, but can regrow when worn down. We can compare that to pleurodont teeth, which are common in other lizard groups like iguanas and geckos. These are superficially attached, like our acrodont teeth, to the jaw, but instead they're anchored to the inside of the jaw, making them a little bit stronger, as if they're almost rooted, and they can continuously grow back. And then we have thecodont teeth, which are the rarest in reptiles. Crocodilians are the only true reptiles that have these types of teeth, and these are more so what you would think of when you're thinking about a tooth. They are strong, rooted within the jaw, similar to mammal teeth, and they continuously replace these throughout their lifetime. And then we have, oh, no, stop doing that. Then we have snakes, which are said to have modified thecodont teeth. The tooth is fused to the rim of the jaw in a shallow socket rather than being firmly rooted like in crocodilians. But snakes do have teeth as well. And then there's birds. Some birds appear as though they do have teeth, but birds are the only class of vertebrates that do not have true teeth. Some waterfowl like geese and mergansers again appear like they have teeth, but this is a modified tomia, which is the sharp cutting edge of the beak. So this serrated modification allows the birds to cut things like grass and plant material, but they are not true teeth. And then, of course, we can talk about invertebrates. Again, vertebrates are the only group that has true teeth, but some invertebrates have analogous structures that are often referred to as teeth, like snails. Some people say snails have the most teeth of any animal. It's not true teeth. They have this spiny radula within their mouth. Hookworms appear to have teeth, as well as odinates, as we know from Maggie, means tooth ones because their mandible appears to have teeth on it. So that's teeth. That's all I know about teeth. And hopefully this was fun time and interesting. And we're done, and I can't figure out how to stop.